At the wedding, Willow threw me aside and ran straight into the arms of her first love, kissing him passionately right in front of everyone. In my head, the system's voice rang out. Host, please retrieve the female lead and complete the wedding. Eyes red. I asked coldly, why the hell should I? Just then, the system zapped me again, pain surging through my body as I collapsed to the ground. But amidst the agony, a new voice, bright and mischievous, echoed in my mind. Host, I destroyed that damn system. Let's go. Time to wreck that shameless couple. I got up and realized that the pain from the electric shock had mysteriously disappeared. Chapter 1. My name is George. 3 years ago, I somehow got bound to a system. It told me I had to marry a target, Willow, or I'd die. I didn't believe it at first. I cursed it out. Next second, it shocked the hell out of me. I hit the floor gasping, writhing in pain. From then on, every refusal, every insult, I got punished. I had no doubt, if I kept resisting, it would literally torture me to death. So I gave in, and started pursuing the target, Willow. But this girl, she was a walking headache. Overdramatic, spoiled, and worst of all, still hung up on her first love who'd been overseas for years. She treated me extremely badly, like a servant. And yet, I couldn't turn against her. I could only keep simping for her like a dog. And I did that for 3 whole years. Finally, after all that simping, she agreed to marry me. Just as we were about to exchange rings, the doors burst open. Makoto, her first love, had come back. The moment she saw him, she dropped the ring, lifted her dress, and ran into his arms. They kissed like no one else was in the room. The entire hall went dead silent. Then came the whispers, eyes burning. I watched it all and let out a cold laugh. And that damn system, still barking at me to go talk Willow into coming back. Why the hell should I? Rage consumed me. Another electric jolt slammed me to the floor. But suddenly, all the pain disappeared. Just when I thought the system had grown a conscience, a cheeky female voice popped into my head. Host, that trashy system's gone. I wiped it out. I just couldn't stand its manipulative, coercive bullsh *T. Why bully the good guys? Screw that. Don't worry, host, I've got your back now. Let's go. Time to wreck that shameless couple. Chapter 2. The system's playful female voice filled me with a huge surge of encouragement. I sprang to my feet and strode toward those bastards. Willow, her cheeks flushed, was nestled in Makoto's arms. Noticing my furious glare, she remained unruffled. Smiling at me, she said, George, don't worry, I was just saying goodbye to him. Our wedding will continue shortly. Makoto, his face etched with resentment and sarcasm, retorted. He's the simp you were talking about. Other than looking like he's got some cash, there's nothing special about him. Willow giggled coquettishly and shot me a proud glance. He's far better than you. He never loses his temper with me, and he's been my simp for 3 years. Unlike you, after graduation, you quarreled with me and left the country in a fit of pique. Now you regret it, but it's too late. Oh really? Then I must kiss you until I get my money's worth. Makoto laughed as he pinched her chin, oblivious to everyone around. The two of them began kissing again. The system was livid. These two really are a match made in hell, a bitch paired with a dog, with nerve thicker than a bulletproof vest. Host, kill them. I sneered as I advanced and grabbed Willow. She wore an expression of lingering delight. Hubby, you really love me so much that you can't wait to marry me. Let's go, she cooed. Smack. I raised my hand and delivered a brutal slap across her face. Everyone present gasped in shock. Willow was completely stunned. Without giving her a moment to recover, I began slapping her repeatedly from both sides. I was like a raging wild boar crashing through a fence, each blow loaded with all the resentment of the past 3 years. Delivered with immense force, her face swelled instantly, resembling a pig's head. Seeing this, Makoto tried to rush over to protect her, but I kicked him squarely in the groin. He let out a wolfish cry, clutching his injured groin as he collapsed in agony. Wow, host, you're amazing. The system cheered, its eyes sparkling with admiration. Just kidding, my years of karate training weren't for nothing. George, how dare you hit me? Willow shrieked, covering her face in disbelief and fury. I smiled slyly as I pulled out a handkerchief and wiped my hand. Hitting you just makes my hand feel dirty. Someone like you, in ancient times, you would have been drowned in a pig cage. It's like a toad kissing a frog, not good looking, but acting like a player, I added. After unloading my barrage of insults, I turned and strode back to the stage without looking back. Surveying the chaotic mass of guests, friends and relatives alike, I composed myself and picked up the microphone. Today, you've all been made to look foolish. I'm sorry to announce that this wedding can no longer continue. Instantly, the noisy banquet hall fell silent. As you can see, Willow has betrayed this marriage. From today on, I am officially nullifying our wedding. No more ties between us. The crowd erupted in shock. I smiled faintly and continued. As a gesture of apology, all your gifts will be returned double. Thank you all once again for coming. Bowing deeply, I stepped briskly off the stage. Fortunately, Willow and I hadn't yet registered our marriage. She had insisted on a wedding first. Who would have thought that this disaster would turn out to be a blessing in disguise? After all, I truly couldn't stand that disgusting woman. My parents rushed out to stop me, asking if I'd really thought it through. They had been extremely agitated ever since 3 years ago, when I suddenly contracted that affliction and began obsessively chasing after Willow, a move they'd always disapproved of. They even threatened not to leave me the company if I went through with the marriage. I nodded. My father's eyes lit up as he gripped my hand tightly. Son, you've finally seen the light. But my mother looked disheartened, still in disbelief. My pursuit of Willow had been so absurd that it led to countless arguments with them. I once even braved a downpour to wait all night beneath her building, catching a high fever and missing an important company meeting, while Willow didn't even bother to check on me. My mother cared for me with all her heart, and my father, frustrated beyond words, had handed the company over to me long ago, never imagining it would come to this. Dad, Mom, it's all in the past. I won't mess up again. You can trust me. Before I could finish, Willow's parents hurriedly caught up. George, don't be angry and spouting nonsense, just go back. Yeah, you upset Willow again today. In the end, aren't you the one who always has to smooth things over? Her mother's eyes glinted slyly as she resumed her old trick. How about this? You secure the villa next to the wedding suite and give it to us, and I'll put in a good word for you. Seeing these two arrogant, calculating people, I couldn't help but laugh. Back then, it was all because that damn system had bound me to Willow, forcing me even to curry favor with her parents. They were just ordinary working-class folks, yet I'd spoiled them into thinking too highly of themselves. Later, they started bossing me around so much, it was as if they might as well have been shitting on my head, having grown accustomed to my submissiveness and endless concessions toward Willow. But now, that annoying system is long gone. Host, I've never seen such shameless people. Go on, curse them to death. Oh, just mimic what I did earlier. Chapter 3. Under the system's guidance, I slowly began to speak. You really tore the skin off your left cheek just to patch up the right, half shameless, half thick-skinned. Stay away from me. I'm allergic to senior citizen dust. I'm not only refusing you any favors, but I'll also claw back every last cent of that $3 million bride price. Willow's whole family has been milking me dry for years. Money, property, even her brother's job was shoved into his hands thanks to my connections. They've taken every advantage possible, as if they've forgotten who the real money source is. Mr. Liu pointed an accusatory finger at my nose, seething. Fine, I'm just waiting for the day when you get on your knees like a dog begging for my daughter's forgiveness. My mom slapped his hand away and coldly warned. Watch your mouth, or I'll have someone take care of you. She'd always been disappointed in me, but still cared for her son. Isn't your boy always like this? Every time he clings to my daughter like a simp. What does it matter if your family's rich and powerful? With a love-crazed son like that, you'd better watch your step. We might just reconsider singing his praises. My parents were so furious they couldn't even manage a single retort. Yeah, for the past 3 years, I've been even more shameless than a simp. But now that the damn system, which once threatened my life, has been wiped out, why should I fear any more begging? I kicked that old bastard aside without hesitation and, pointing at his wife, warned. Get lost. Keep harassing my folks and I'll peel a layer of your skin off. Both of them shrank back in fear. Willow's brother, who had rushed over, grabbed at them, then spat venomously. You've really grown a backbone, George, believe it or not. Before he could finish his pathetic rant, I pulled out my phone and barked out orders. Remove Martin Liu from his managerial position, and promote the assistant manager to full manager, execute immediately. That worthless bum was nothing but a lazy slacker who managed to scam his way into a department manager post through my connections. He couldn't do a damn thing, so I even had to hire an extra assistant manager just to clean up after him. He used to pocket an effortless $50K a month without doing anything, but those good days are over. Martin's face turned incredulous as he threatened furiously. You dare? You think I won't make sure my sister never forgives you? I laughed. Even if the cheating duck got handed to me for free, I'd still find her filthy. What right does she have to talk to me about forgiveness? There's no damn way I'd ever forgive that B*TCH. Got it. Get lost already. You're just making a fool of yourself, going around in circles like a naked clown on a grinding wheel. The three of them were fuming and, even as they scrambled off, they kept mouthing off. We'll be waiting for your entire family to come and apologize. My parents looked at me with worry and, gritting their teeth, declared. We're not going to apologize to you. I smiled, draped an arm around my mom's shoulder, and replied. Neither am I, don't worry. They fell silent, their expressions filled with disbelief. As soon as I got home, Willow called. Her tone was as cold and narcissistic as ever. George, I know you're jealous over me today. But you shouldn't have hurt Makoto. Go to the hospital and apologize to him. If you do, maybe I'll forgive you for what happened before. I put the call on speaker. My parents listened anxiously, shaking their heads. Cut the drama. Makoto and I are a thing of the past. Once this is over, we'll schedule an even grander wedding. I promise, I'll go register our marriage with you tomorrow. And since Makoto got hurt because of you, you're paying his hospital bills. For the past 3 years, no matter what conflict arose, I was always the one soothing her over. This was the first time she actually offered a way out. Everyone thought her concession was a favor to me, that it would cool my anger for good. Even my parents believed it. After she finished her whining, following the system's guidance, I slowly spoke. Since you're at the hospital, you might as well go get your head checked. When I treat you like a human being, you insist on acting like a dog. What are you barking for? You're just like a mangy mutt that's eaten too much crap and can't help but burp stench across the phone. And paying bills, believe it or not. I'd kill you both and use the money to buy you a grave. Every word I spat left me feeling incredibly refreshed. Thanks, system. Willow was left speechless by my tirade, and my parents stared at me in disbelief. Anything else? If you're so bored, why don't you go find a tree to hang yourself from instead of harassing me on the phone? And while you're at it, use a toilet plunger to brush your teeth. Be a good little thing. With that, I hung up and blocked her. Before long, Willow, fuming, sent me a voice message on WeChat, cursing. What are you even pretending for, George? Do you think you can live without me? Listen up, you're nothing but a dog I keep, and you do exactly what I tell you. 4 years, I really was like a dog. Everyone used to joke with Willow that I was her rich, obedient mutt, and she even believed it. So today, she finally lost it and spat out such shameless trash. I replied lightly. You know you're just a pile of shit, so go ahead and treat others like dogs. At least now your priorities are clear. Sis, good luck. After sending that, I blocked her for good, leaving her no chance to pester me again. My parents, watching my string of actions, let out a huge sigh of relief. Son, you've finally come to your senses. I couldn't really explain, and didn't want to worry them, so I just smiled and nodded. If it weren't for that brain-dead system that once bound me to Willow, I could have taken out 10 of her kind in a year. Chapter 4. After I had my lawyer reclaim the bride price and the marital house, Willow's family could no longer sit still. They all gathered outside my company, shouting for me. As soon as they saw me, Martin started yelling. Brother-in-law, why did you call for my dismissal? Knock it off, my sister already admitted her fault. Heh, that was the first time that little punk ever called me brother-in-law. Willow's eyes were red as her parents pulled her aside and pleaded. George, I know I was too spoiled before, you've beaten me and scolded me, but can't we just let it go? Her parents nodded repeatedly. Yes, we've already chewed her out pretty badly. Look at all the years you've been together. How can an outsider ruin it all? They continued. Our precious daughter has vented all her anger on you. We won't hold it against you. Let's call it even. Just as long as you agree to have the marital house changed to Willow's name, and compensate us with 800,000 for the bride price, we'll let you redo the wedding. Really shameless. Luckily, my parents had threatened them back then so they wouldn't take advantage of my villa. Otherwise, this situation would be downright disgusting. Seeing that I showed no reaction, Willow assumed I had softened. In a patronizing tone she said, yes, as long as you agree and compensate me, I'm still willing to marry you. Otherwise, I'll never forgive you in this lifetime. The system chimed in. Host, what exactly did you say back then? Even now she's acting like everything's fine. I scratched my head. Well, back when I was nearly electrocuted to death, I did say I'd die without you. I meant it literally, as in physically dying, but Willow's whole family took it to mean I was so in love I'd die for her. Ugh, that damn system ruins everything. Don't worry, host. No need to be embarrassed, the system soothed. Instantly, my spirits lifted, and I began to scrutinize Willow. Her frame was slight and scrawny, her skin dark, and her features could only be described as delicate. She did have a pair of moist, alluring, peach blossom eyes, but while they appeared affectionate, they were in fact utterly devoid of warmth. There wasn't a single trait about her that attracted me. Thinking back on how that damn dog system forced me to fawn over her for 3 years made me want to vomit. Noticing me appraising her, Willow lifted her chin proudly and glared. I told you, as long as you do everything I asked, we can still get married. I couldn't help but laugh. Miss Lou, did that slap the other day really knock some sense into your head? Get your illness checked at a hospital. Don't come here barking like a dog. Everyone in your family, back off. I have trypophobia. People with too many tricks in their minds make my skin crawl. I waved over security. If this family shows up again, no need to notify me, just kick them out immediately. As I was about to leave, Martin lost it and cursed. Look at you. It's all your fault for cheating. You made me lose such a good job." Her parents joined in, blaming her. "Are you out of your mind? Why would you turn down someone with such good prospects to pick a pretty boy?" Willow exploded. "Makoto isn't a pretty boy. He's running an entire park overseas. He's 100 times better than this crappy corporation." "George, don't you ever regret this?" she pleaded. I only smiled and replied, "It seems the one regretting isn't me." That very night, when I got home, my parents happily uncorked a bottle of champagne. "Not bad. You actually held out for 2 weeks, good job." They cheered. I managed a bitter smile. Changing 3 years' worth of stereotypes isn't easy. To avoid their interference with my parents, I moved back into a new villa by myself. The interior was decorated entirely to Willow's taste, but seeing her chaotic aesthetic, I called someone to rearrange it. They worked quickly. In less than a day everything was replaced. I then lay back in my private bathtub, sipping red wine, completely at ease. "System, do you think Willow and her family have finally given up?" I asked. "Surely they won't come here to harass me again, right?" The system stayed silent for a moment. I called out a few more times until the system replied lazily, "Ah." Then suddenly, "Ah, ah, 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 ah." A string of shrill screams startled me, followed by a barrage of over 10 different, non-repeating curses, typical of that perverted exhibitionist. I was completely stunned. "System, why are you cursing me like that? And such filthy curses," I demanded. "If you dare shout my name while you're bathing again, I'll kill you." The system gritted its digital teeth in fury. I began to feel uneasy. Honestly, I'd forgotten that the system's voice was female. After all, she was just a system. Seeing a woman shouldn't affect me, right? As if she knew what I was thinking, she sneered. In the next second, an electric shock hit me, and I was plunged into the bathtub. After gulping down several large mouthfuls of water, I struggled out of the tub and tumbled onto the carpet. Gasping for air, I pleaded repeatedly, "Dear lady, I'm so sorry, I was wrong. I promise I'll remember it from now on." After wrapping myself in a towel and soothing her with kind words for quite a while, she finally let out a reluctant hum of forgiveness. "Rest assured, for now, Willow's family won't bother you again," she said. As she spoke, a video began playing in my mind. Chapter 5. Willow's whole family was having dinner with Makoto. At the table, her parents were furiously slandering me, calling me a heartless bastard, while retelling the past 3 years of my simp history as if it were the saddest tragedy they'd ever witnessed. Her brother eagerly poured drinks and chimed in on cue. Willow looked at Makoto with teary eyes, her voice tender and affectionate. "Makoto, I've always loved you all these years. It's just, that simp was too persistent, and you were gone for so long. I had no choice but to agree to marry him. Thank God we didn't register the marriage, or that bastard would have gotten the benefit for nothing." Makoto leaned back in his chair, a cigarette between his fingers, smiling faintly. "Good thing I heard you were getting married and rushed back. These years, doing business abroad wasn't easy. But I never stopped thinking about you. I was so devoted to work I didn't date anyone else. I just came back to see you one last time. Once I saw you marry a good man, I could leave in peace." With his slick back hair, custom designer suit, and nonchalant demeanor, he really looked the part. Now and then, he casually glanced at his Vacheron Constantin watch or toyed with the Maybach keys on the table, drawing increasingly admiring glances from those around. "Makoto, only someone as big-hearted as you would let that crazy dog go. If it weren't for his parents, that simp wouldn't have money or status." Willow's parents were groveling, practically licking his boots. At their flattery, a flicker of displeasure crossed Makoto's face. He shifted uncomfortably, crossing his legs the other way. "Guess I was too gentle with him before. My sister's lucky," Martin chimed in, "to reunite with you before marrying the wrong man. He made sure to matchmake the two every chance he got." Makoto laughed heartily, promising to take Martin abroad with him to make big money. Martin, all fired up, shouted that they had to teach me a lesson before leaving. He just couldn't swallow this anger. Everyone else agreed enthusiastically, watching their scheming. I sneered. The system snickered. "Host, you really did act like a brainless fool before. No wonder they think they can walk all over you." Hee hee. Sigh. Fair enough. The next morning, I was jolted awake by loud knocking at my office door. "Boss Wong, you had your phone on Do Not Disturb, so I had to come find you." Ugh. My head ached. Must have been the wine last night. My assistant didn't even wait for me to get cleaned up. She dragged her laptop in front of me and shoved it at my face. "Heir of Wong Corporation abandons woman. Drives her to suicide." On screen, Willow's parents sobbed dramatically beside a hospital bed. Willow lay pale on it, weak and frail. Her parents angrily pointed at the camera. "I know rich men love to toy with women, but George chased our daughter for 3 years. He showered her with affection, held a whole wedding, then backed out at the last second. You think playing with someone's feelings is fun? Our daughter gave him her heart. Then he dumped her and even had security kick us out of the company. What a cold-blooded man. The footage even included the scene of me ordering the guards to throw them out. On the hospital bed, Willow wept silently, lifting her bandaged wrist weakly. George, what did I ever do to deserve this? You humiliated my entire family on the most important day of my life. If you want to play your little rich boy games, can you just leave me alone? Sob, sob, sob. Her cries and pitiful expression made it seem like she might crumble at any moment. The comment section exploded. Scumbag. Wasted 3 years of her youth. What's he gonna do to repay her? Ugh. Poor girl even tried to take her life for this jerk. She should be compensated for emotional damage. Boycott this guy's company. He better apologize in public. Since the wedding had only involved close friends and family, no one else had seen what really happened that day. Everyone was arguing in the comments, but without evidence. It was just words against words. If you say the woman cheated first, where's your proof? Someone taunted. One sentence silenced my defenders. I rubbed my temples and turned to the system. System, got any solutions? The system sighed dramatically. Host, what would you even do without me? Suddenly, the computer screen lit up with a perfectly captured video. It showed Willow running into Makoto's arms, kissing him passionately on the wedding day, then her grinning as she said, George, don't worry, I'm just saying goodbye to him. Our wedding continues in a bit. The video continued to show them mocking me. That simp, he's got money and no temper, licked my shoes for 3 years. My assistant, shocked but quick on her feet, uploaded the footage to my personal account. Miss Lou, our boss originally wanted to give you some dignity and end things peacefully. But now, you brought this on yourself. The internet saw everything. Willow's clingy, fawning face toward Makoto, their arrogant trash talk, and finally, the part where I slapped the fake princess and kicked the smug gigolo. Public opinion began to shift hard. Damn right, he should have hit her harder. Seriously, can y'all stop believing every sob story without seeing both sides? That girl's so nasty. If it were me, I'd have gone after that cheating pair with a knife. Chapter 6. No matter how much scheming they did, they never expected I'd have video evidence. The wedding videographers that day had clearly stated they didn't capture those scenes, but they didn't know I had the system on my side. Public opinion turned harshly against the Liu family. Under intense scrutiny, they had no choice but to discharge Willow from the hospital overnight and start plotting a new counterattack. Soon, they launched a fresh round of slander. On camera, Willow cried, claiming I had forced love on her, using money and power to pressure her into submission. Martin, her brother, even swore. He bent the rules to make me marketing director, just so he could keep my sister close. We're just an ordinary family, we couldn't fight back, so we could only convince our daughter to go along with it. They even released a new video as evidence, footage from the past 3 years, of me. In it, I was shown begging Willow to marry me, telling her I'd die without her. I agreed to all her unreasonable demands, until she brought up her dream guy. My expression darkened as I told her to forget about him. At the time, my mind was full of curses. If it weren't for that damn system, who cares how many damn exes she had? She agreed to marry me, that's it. I didn't need to hear her emotional drama. Because of that bottled-up frustration, I came off as irritable, clingy, and even looked like a controlling freak or abusive boyfriend. It doesn't matter, Willow, I said in the clip, gripping her shoulders, eyes bloodshot. As long as you marry me, I'll treat you right. You'll forget about him. In everyone else's eyes, I looked deranged. Sure enough, public opinion swung back around. This guy's sick in the head. She literally told him she loved someone else and he still forced it. That look in his eyes, creepy as hell. She was obviously coerced. The internet forgets fast. Just days ago, they were bashing her for cheating on me. Now, they were saying I was the problem. That Willow had only cheated because she was trying to escape my control. Total contradiction, yet everyone still bought it. That's the price of lies, cheap to tell, expensive to prove wrong. Her parents jumped in once the drama heated up again. Actually, it was us who called Makoto back. We wanted to rescue our daughter from that hellish relationship. We underestimated George's vindictive nature. He didn't just beat and humiliate them, he threatened to kill them if they stayed together. Our poor girl had no choice but to attempt suicide. All we ever asked was for compensation. Was that so wrong? A good chunk of people bought the sob story. They said Willow just wanted to escape my grip, and I hit her at the wedding out of rage. Some even claimed I was responsible for her attempted suicide, that I was just another possessive, manipulative rich guy. He should pay up. Youth compensation, emotional trauma fees. They turned into an army for the Liu family. My parents, fuming at the headlines, wanted to sue for defamation but had no direct proof. All they could do was angrily ask, "Do you really have to pay them?" I smirked. Yeah, I do, but I'm the one collecting. The system popped up with footage of the Liu family cornering me at the company gate. The video showed them first forcing Willow to apologize, then boldly demanding my house and $8 million in bride price as compensation to let us continue the wedding. Willow's smug, self-righteous attitude sparked public rage. When I slapped her and called her brain damaged, people cheered. This family is shady AF. I'd have claustrophobia too if I had to be near people like them. Wait, he told them to stay away. How is that forced love? He's dying to get away from this family, not the other way around. And they even threatened him. Disgusting. Truth was finally revealed. My assistant giggled gleefully. Boss Wong, why didn't you show this earlier? I waved a hand. Have someone edit it into a highlights reel. Pay for extra coverage, put it everywhere. Zoom in on that kiss between Willow and Makoto at the wedding. Slow motion. HD. Let the public really enjoy the show. She nodded enthusiastically and ran off with her laptop, with the full weight of Wong Corp's PR power behind it. Soon the entire internet was flooded. Shocking. Gold digger cheats on wedding day. Humiliates fiancé and extorts his family. Screens in every public square played footage of Willow's betrayal, her family's extortion, and my slap heard round the internet, complete with voiceover explanations of why I slapped that cheating pair. The Liu family's reputation was ruined. They lost every shred of dignity they had. I didn't care. Worst case, a bit of green on my head. After all, if you want to survive life, you've gotta wear a little green sometimes. I survived 3 years of electric shocks. This, child's play. As netizens dug deeper, the Liu family's dirty laundry was aired in full. People camped outside their neighborhood trying to get interviews. Everywhere they went, they were pointed at, whispered about. Eventually, they had to go into hiding, too ashamed to even go home. I officially filed a defamation lawsuit against them for spreading lies and damaging my reputation, and my company's. The court ordered them to pay damages, and it hit hard. They had to sell their house, pawn their belongings, and even borrow money from Makoto just to scrape together the fine. Now homeless, the entire family shamelessly begged Makoto to take them in. In their eyes, he was their son-in-law, future husband, and brother-in-law all rolled into one. Makoto didn't turn them away. He arranged for them to stay in a suburban villa. Uncle, Auntie, it's just temporary. Once we get our visas, we'll leave the country together. No more gossip. No more pointing fingers. We'll live a good life overseas. The family clung to this new fantasy of luxury abroad, showering Makoto with praise. Wrapped in the sweet illusion of love and escape, Willow couldn't help but send me one last message. I'm doing just fine without you. You were my simp for 3 years, and got publicly cheated on. Serves you right. Chapter 7. I didn't respond. There was no need to. The system's lazy voice drifted out. Host, really not going to save her? I shook my head. You brain-dead idiot. Put out that cigarette. She snapped before changing the subject to Makoto's latest movements. As expected, he was taking the Liu family abroad that very night. Sure enough, in the middle of the night, I received another message from Willow. Goodbye, you pathetic simp. I'm flying off to a beautiful foreign land to start a brand new life. You know what? For 3 years, I never gave myself to you, but just now, I gave everything to Makoto. He's the kind of man worthy of me. You never were. I chuckled and blocked her new number. Oh, hope you'll keep that same confidence later. Half a month later, a domestic news outlet exposed a serious overseas fraud case. Someone had been lured abroad by a friend, and nearly lost their life. Thanks to incredible guts, determination, and sheer luck, they had managed to escape and get help from the embassy. On screen, the men looked pale, disheveled, haunted. They said we'd make big money overseas, live the good life. But it was *king nightmare. Don't trust anyone who promises fast wealth abroad. Think 3 times before you go. There's no such thing as free lunch. Once you're in someone else's turf, no one can save you. Please, learn from me. He babbled on, panicked like a rabbit freshly traumatized. I grinned and asked the system. So, how do you think Willow's family is doing right now? She smirked. You wanna see? I nodded. I didn't respond back then. Time to give her an answer. A visual feed appeared. A dim, damp room. Willow was curled up in a corner, barely clothed, bruised all over. I asked calmly. So, enjoying that new life of yours? Makoto treating you well? She jolted, eyes wide with fear, frantically looking around. She gulped, then whispered hesitantly. George? Before I could reply, she broke down, screaming for help. Please, save me. Makoto's not some park manager, he's working with the local underworld. He tricked us all here to do slave labor. My parents couldn't even use a computer, they've already been taken away. I asked about Martin. She froze. Something flashed in her eyes. Trauma. She clutched her head and screamed. No, don't hit my brother, don't hurt him. Her shouting brought someone to the door. Moments later, she was dragged out and beaten brutally. A man crouched down, lifting her chin. His grin was cruel. Makoto, why don't you listen, baby? He purred. Willow's mouth bled as she shrank into the corner, shaking her head. Clearly used to this, Makoto wiped his hands, spat on the ground. Your brother pissed off the boss. Unless you wanna end up like him, you better think fast. For old time's sake, I'll keep you around for a while. No promises after that. Once the door slammed shut, Willow collapsed, sobbing on the floor. Over and over, she whispered, George, are you still there? Please, save me. I don't care if you forgive me, I just don't want to die. Makoto, he's a monster, I replied coldly. This your so-called brand new life doesn't look that beautiful to me. She seemed to sense I was still there. Her eyes lit up, and she started apologizing again and again. I had already asked the system to locate her and call the police. Thank God, she was still in a motel, not completely lost. Don't worry, you're not a good person, but I'll do what I can to help. Until then, just keep Makoto happy so he doesn't beat you to death. I cut the connection. A few days later, Willow was rescued, thanks to the system's pinpoint location. Her parents were also found and pulled out from another location. Only Martin was on the brink of death when they got to him. That pampered brat had a nasty temper and a foul mouth. He pissed off the wrong people and was nearly beaten to death in a remote compound. Thankfully, they all made it out alive. Makoto, captured, and he'd be rotting in prison for a long, long time. On the screen, the Liu family kept thanking the country. Only Willow sobbed uncontrollably, whispering, I'm sorry, over and over to the camera. I closed the laptop with a smile and turned to the system. Why haven't I heard you cursing people lately? She huffed. Maybe because we're doing something more meaningful now. Thanks to her help, we reported multiple illegal operations and saved dozens of victims. I looked up and said sincerely, thank you, system. She mumbled sleepily in response, then went quiet. From that day on, no matter how many times I called her in my mind, she never answered again. Chapter 8. After losing the system, I threw myself into work, refusing to rest, numbing myself with endless tasks. When I couldn't sleep at night, I drank, smoked, and kept to myself. My parents noticed something was wrong. They figured it was time to introduce me to some new girlfriends. I didn't refuse. During countless blind dates, I found myself subconsciously calling out in my mind, hey, what do you think of this one? Doesn't she kind of look like Willow? This one? Nah, feels like she's only here for the money. This girl's cute. Should I try giving it a shot? She's gentle, pretty, and comes from a good family. If you keep ignoring me, I might actually date her, you know. Where did you go? I don't think I can live without you. Despite the dating, I kept finding reasons to walk away. Eventually, my parents had enough and called me home for dinner. All those girls we picked are top-notch. My mom said, even if they care about money, so what? We've got money. As long as she treats you well, that's what matters. She's marrying you, she's gotta want something, right? I sighed, rubbing my temples. It won't work. They're too shy, too gentle, too obedient. When I pretend to grab their hand, they don't even scold me. I smoke, and they just watch. They don't even tell me to stop. I don't like that type. I like someone who yells at me, someone who bosses me around. Yeah, someone who always calls me a pig-headed idiot. That last line officially made my parents think I was mentally ill. They exchanged deeply worried glances and silently reached a mutual agreement. We'd better take him to the hospital. A whirlwind of appointments, brain scans, full-body checkups. Results, I was perfectly healthy. I smiled bitterly, trying to reassure them. Mom, Dad, I'm really not sick. We've done every test already. Let's go home. But my mom huffed. You haven't gone to the psych department yet, and dragged me there too. After a full psychiatric evaluation, the doctor reported, aside from poor sleep, he's normal. Just then, the door burst open. A middle-aged woman stormed in crying, clutching a piece of paper. Doctor, you have to help my daughter. What's wrong with her? The doctor blinked. Didn't she wake up a week ago? The woman sobbed harder. She did, but ever since she woke up from the car accident, she's been talking nonsense. The doctor unfolded the paper and read aloud, frowning. Host, that damn system is gone. I destroyed it. Charge, wreck that cheating couple. You, pig-headed idiot, put out that cigarette. Call me while bathing again and I'll kill you. The woman broke down, wailing louder. Doctor, my daughter's brain must be damaged. Please, save her. But I could no longer hear anything around me. I stood up, pushed the door open, and there, on the bench outside, was a frail girl hooked up to an 4, her head wrapped in gauze. She was pale, small. Her long black hair hung smoothly over delicate features. The moment she saw me, her dull, grayish eyes lit up like stars. I walked toward her and sat beside her. Our eyes met. She looked at me and suddenly smiled. Host. You came to psych too. Life been hard lately. My eyes stung as I pulled her into a tight embrace. Yeah. I've been doing really bad. I kept thinking about you. Thought you were playing hide and seek with me. She froze for a second, then gently hugged me back. Wow, and you still found me. Behind us, her mother and my parents stood dumbfounded. Anna, who is this? George, who's this girl? We looked at each other, hands interlaced. Mom, Dad, you don't have to set me up on blind dates anymore. She's the one I've been looking for all along. Anna giggled and playfully punched me. Mom, this is the guy who stole my soul. We looked at each other and laughed. Actually, we've known each other a long time. This is just the first time we're meeting in person. No one's cursed me in weeks. It's unbearable. Quick, yell at me a little, I teased. She smacked me in the chest with a grin. Get lost, idiot. After transmigrating into the notorious male antagonist who everyone despises, I simply gave up. The reason? My wife is a wealthy, high-status princess. We have all the money we could ever need. I can spend it however I want. To show off, I joined a celebrity couple travel reality show with my wife, while other couples were out every day, busy showing affection and posing for the cameras. I was lounging in the hotel playing video games. And that's not all. I actually urged my wife to divorce me and split the assets in front of the camera. However, no one could have predicted that this fake marriage of ours would go viral. Netizens couldn't get enough of it, saying, "Real couples don't have fake sweetness. So sweet." Chapter 1. I transmigrated into the male antagonist of a novel, a blacklisted celebrity who loves to act like a diva in the entertainment industry. He falls head over heels for the lovesick second female lead, Willow, and relentlessly pursues her. But the male lead, the award-winning actor Makoto, marries someone else. Out of spite, Willow impulsively marries the male antagonist. After their marriage, the male lead and his wife are invited to join a couple's variety show. The original character, in order to compete with him, also participates. In the show, the original character goes overboard trying to show off, constantly clashing with the male lead, but gets slapped in the face again and again, becoming the foil to highlight the male lead's happy marriage. Not only is the original character mocked by netizens, but Willow also grows increasingly disgusted. After the show ends, the two quickly divorce. The original character demands $1 billion from Willow before he agrees to leave her alone. But, of course, that $1 billion is soon squandered, and the original character ends up in a deep depression before passing away. The timing of my transmigration couldn't have been worse. I arrived just as the show was about to begin, and the guests were all checking into their rooms. The production team had prepared large rooms for everyone, each with a 2-bedroom suite. As usual, Willow and the original character slept in separate rooms, but when I woke up, I found myself lying in her bed. She had just finished a shower, her body still moist, and her bathrobe wrapped tightly around her. Well, it looks like only the male lead gets to enjoy her good figure. Willow had her hair casually pinned up, and her bangs covered one eye, but that didn't stop her from rolling her eyes at me when she saw me. She asked, "What are you doing?" Her tone was cold and distant. I awkwardly climbed out of bed, and as I lifted my hand, a packet of safety supplies fell out. Willow gave me an even more disgusted look. She said, "George, I've warned you before. We have no feelings for each other. It's best we keep our distance." I froze, my movements stalling. The original character's behavior was indeed inappropriate, but if you don't like him, why would you agree to be on a couple's reality show with him? So, I nodded, and just to add more effect, I clapped my hands. I smiled and said, "Well said. If we need to keep our distance, why are we even on this show? Let's just tell the production team we're not recording anymore." Chapter 2. After I said that, it was Willow's turn to be stunned. She frowned slightly and scrutinized me. "Hey, woman, what's there to look at? Standing in front of you is the real man, George. All I want now is to get the divorce and my share of the money so I can retire early." Willow squinted at me, and I felt my confidence wane slightly. So, I stood up and glared at her from above. After a moment, she awkwardly spoke up. "The show still has to be recorded." I sneered. In the novel, Willow joined this show to see the male lead in person and to check if he and his wife were truly happy after marriage. Since she hadn't even seen the male lead yet, she was definitely reluctant to leave. But now the tables had turned, and she was the one at a disadvantage. I sneered again and said, "Well, you'd better put on a good show." Then, I slammed the door shut. Back in my room, I comfortably flopped back onto the bed and looked ahead to my future. The variety show was scheduled to last for half a month. Once it was over, I'd divorce Willow, and from then on, I'd just sit back and enjoy the interest from the money. How sweet. I didn't care about getting closer to Willow as long as I perfected my give-up strategy. 2 weeks would fly by in no time. I laughed to myself under the covers. The next day was free time. I slept in until 11 a.m. Meanwhile, the others had already streamed their morning activities, working out, cooking, exploring nearby tourist spots. Makoto and his wife had even given the show its first viral moment in the kitchen, feeding each other. As an award-winning actor, Makoto looked great on screen, and the fans were going wild. The comments flooded in. Wow, the male lead really knows how to pamper his wife. She's a true winner in life. What's George doing? He's usually so shameless, but now he's completely disappeared. He's been sleeping the whole time. Meanwhile, his wife was up early and out the door. I really don't get it. How did George manage to marry Lou's daughter? This beautiful and rich woman. She's kind, has money, and looks great. Unlike him, he may have some fame, but who in their right mind would hire such a blacklisted celebrity for an endorsement? The brand would be destroyed the next day. It's just not a match. I was completely immune to these comments. I washed my face, then headed downstairs. In the lobby, Makoto and his wife Maria were still in the kitchen, getting cozy. They'd slice a few cucumbers and exchange sweet glances, wash some lettuce, and hug each other. They volunteered to make lunch for everyone, but judging by the pace, we were going to starve before we got to eat. Makoto joked, "You finally woke up. If you hadn't, we'd have eaten lunch without you." Haha. When he saw me, he pretended to greet me like we were close. I was speechless. No need for a reminder. Netizens already knew I was sleeping in. They had already roasted me for it. I went to the fridge to grab something to eat, and Makoto approached me. He sighed and said, "Don't you know what kind of day Willow's been having? You didn't wake up this morning, and she wasn't feeling well enough to cook. So I made her a sandwich from the fridge." He had a concerned look on his face. He said, "You've married her, so stop acting so carefree. You should be taking responsibility." Seeing this, the comments lit up again. The comments went wild. Wow. Our male lead is such a warm guy. Unlike my husband, who just tells me to drink warm water. He's so considerate, even advising George to take responsibility as a husband. George doesn't deserve it. If you've seen his diva behavior in the news, you know there's no saving him. Honestly, I bet they'll divorce. I'm just waiting for it. I didn't bother responding. I opened the fridge, where there were sandwiches, drinks, and various ingredients neatly arranged. I grabbed a sandwich and took a bite. Seeing that I didn't say anything, Makoto looked at me regretfully and said, "Do you think I'm meddling too much?" "I'm sorry. I just couldn't stand seeing her upset without anyone to take care of her." A vein popped on my forehead, and I couldn't be bothered to play games with him in front of the camera. I smiled and said, "Yeah, you're meddling a lot. This is food prepared by the production team. Don't get too carried away. You'd think you made it yourself. Also, Willow is allergic to peanut butter. She can't eat this." Makoto's face turned pale, and he nervously licked his lips. He awkwardly said, "I only meant well. No problem." Just like the well-meaning cooking he did for the show. 2 hours of cooking, and we still had to go out to eat in the end. I smiled and said, "Thanks for the kind gesture, but I won't need lunch today." Chapter 3. In the novel, Willow went to the hospital to visit the sick maid and didn't come back until late. Meanwhile, the original character attended an event alone and became the target of online ridicule. The comments flooded in. Winning over a rich beauty doesn't necessarily mean reaching the peak of life. Look at how pathetic he is. Acting like a simp. So humble and pitiful. Yeah, I'm so humble and pitiful. So what if I got 1 billion after the divorce? Sigh. What can I do? I'm a simp. I was in the living room playing games, and the others still hadn't returned by the time night fell. I ordered takeout and casually clicked on a recommended video while eating. The suite door suddenly swung open, and Willow, who had been absent all day, came back. She was wearing a black waist-cinching dress that showed off her curves, exuding a mature, womanly charm. Of course, I was unlucky enough that when she entered, the video I had just opened was talking about her. Anyway, Willow is the epitome of a wealthy, high-class young lady. She's simple in character, with a wide range of interests. And just look at her figure, her looks. The screen was filled with her most eye-catching photos. I was speechless. I had the video volume low, so she shouldn't be able to hear, right? Apparently, Willow's hearing was just fine. She walked over and sat down opposite me. The video host continued speaking. Willow's only flaw is that she's married, but that's okay. There are plenty of beautiful women. Let's move on to the next one. I hurriedly turned off the video. The atmosphere grew awkward, and I buried my head in my food, pretending like nothing had happened. But Willow's gaze was fixed on me. Ahem. I tactically cleared my throat. Don't get the wrong idea. I'm not interested in you anymore. That video I watched earlier was just me scouting for a potential remarriage partner. It has nothing to do with you. Willow furrowed her brows. Her eyes locked onto my every expression, as though she were trying to find evidence that I was lying. I met her gaze without flinching. At this point, I just wanted the divorce and my share of the assets. I wasn't interested in her body at all. I stood up to clear the takeout boxes, trying to distance myself from her. Just as I stood, Willow suddenly spoke. "You've been acting different lately." I nodded. "Haven't you heard? A wise person knows when to adapt to the situation." I've adapted. I've come to understand my own limitations, and I won't bother you anymore. Willow didn't respond, her gaze still heavy as she studied me. I returned to my room, planning to scroll through my phone as usual, but I saw that troublesome video again. Annoyed, I sent a comment. Don't worry, she'll soon be back on the market, untouched, good as new. Chapter 4. The first day of my let it be attitude came to an end, and on the second day, my level of apathy soared even higher. The morning assembly was at 8 a.m. While everyone else was busy preparing to head out, I simply threw on an old man's shirt and some slippers, yawning as I walked downstairs. Willow and Maria were tidying up the room, while Makoto, the male lead, was helping carry everyone's big bags, and veteran actor David was busy hauling the equipment for the activity. As soon as I showed up, the audience had something to say. One of the comments read, "Where did this creepy old man come from? What's with the flashy bag? He's not doing any work, just trying to get attention and milk the views." I sat at the far end of the lobby, as far from Willow as possible. Surprisingly, she broke from her usual behavior and walked over to sit next to me. I was speechless. Does she have a personality disorder or something? Not only that, but I also felt like Willow was keeping a close eye on me today, her gaze lingering on me in a way that seemed like she was observing my every move. Did she hear my declaration yesterday? Is she worried I'm going to cause trouble today on the show, so she's keeping tabs on me? The task for the day was to climb a mountain and then have a picnic at the summit. I immediately approached the production team. I asked, "Do we really have to climb? I'd prefer to take the cable car." The staff seemed surprised. "If you do that, your group won't have enough material. The edited footage won't be long enough." "No problem. Am I really the kind of person to care about screen time?" I said. "I'm happy to give up my screen time for everyone else." However, the production team didn't agree. They had paid me to cause a stir. The reason I'm blacklisted and red, famous for the wrong reasons, is because my agency is really good at creating hype. I look somewhat similar to the male lead, so my company buys PR to get me attention. The movie we're filming together follows the same strategy. He plays the perfect romantic lead, and I play the substitute. The journey is full of chaos and rivalry. Of course, the production team wasn't about to let go of this opportunity. Since I'd signed the contract, I had no choice but to join everyone on the nanny van. David, the veteran actor, held the host's script and was in charge of guiding the discussion, leading the conversation. On the van, people started sharing their stories of when they first fell in love with their spouses. David and his wife became a couple because of a drama they worked on together, and they were considered the model couple in the entertainment industry. Makoto's version was more cinematic, describing how they crossed paths at a commercial event and how they instantly fell in love. Throughout the story, he subtly mentioned how much he loved his wife and how dependent she was on him. This prompted a round of envy from the viewers. Makoto then smiled and said, "Enough about me. What about you, George? How did you two get together?" The story of the original character and Willow was quite the spectacle, and it was incredibly awkward. One sentence, the simp ended up with nothing. The original character never even got a kiss from Willow. Makoto had bad intentions with his question. I chuckled. I begged for it. But honestly, after marrying her, it feels worse than being single. Being single is way more fun. The entire van fell silent. Everyone held their composure like good actors, their faces unreadable. No one responded. David broke the silence first. He laughed. Haha. Newlyweds always have some small friction. When Anna and I first got married, we were the same. Whenever we fought, I just wanted to get a divorce right away. But just as he finished speaking, Willow lowered her head, her face turning bright red, and quietly said, "Actually, I've liked George since high school." I had a huge question mark on my face. Everyone else did too. I turned to Willow and asked, "Did you eat the sandwich from this morning? Did it poison you?" Chapter 5. David's wife, Anna, came in to smooth things over. Ha ha ha. George looked stunned. "Don't just stand there. Go comfort your Willow. If you don't pamper a wife like that, do you expect someone else to?" The atmosphere immediately lightened up, and the couple seemed convinced that Willow and I were at odds because of yesterday's events. I rolled my eyes at Willow, out of the camera's sight, but, to my surprise, she didn't get angry. Instead, her eyes, those peach blossom eyes, were fixed on me, her lips pressed tightly together. She kept staring at me, and after a while, I couldn't take it anymore. Before I even realized it, I reached out and grabbed her chin, turning her face to the other side. The touch of her soft skin sent a tingling sensation down my fingers, and I felt a shiver up my spine, the hairs on my arm standing on end. Quickly, I turned away and looked out the window, trying to steady my nerves. This entire moment was being broadcast live. The comments section flooded with reactions. One comment read, "I remember gossip saying these two don't have feelings for each other. Did I eat the wrong gossip?" Another said, "Did you guys notice? Willow's eyes are practically dripping with affection for George." Yet another commented, "But George just turned her face away." Willow looked so aggrieved. And someone else remarked, "What the heck, is there a bit of sweetness here? I think I'm the one who's been poisoned." The nanny van arrived at the foot of the mountain. At a normal pace, it would take about 2 hours to reach the summit. The production team announced the rules. During the climb, they had set up photo checkpoints at several scenic spots. Every couple had to take a creative and sweet photo. The couple whose photo received the most votes from the viewers would win a mysterious reward. However, for the picnic lunch at the summit, the first couple to reach the top would enjoy a lavish meal, while the last couple would only get bread. It seemed like a dilemma, but honestly, most people would choose to focus on taking photos. More camera time, more opportunity to take beautiful photos and gain fans. As for the meal, well, in the entertainment industry, who isn't a top-tier starvation expert? Makoto wrapped his arm around his wife Maria's shoulders, looking down at her with affection. "Let's do our wedding photo pose one more time." The wedding photos they released when they got married were all over trending topics for an entire day. They looked amazing, and even bystanders would agree they made a perfect couple. Makoto then turned to us, smiling, and asked, "What about you two? Any ideas for your photo?" What ideas could there be? The original character and Willow had been married for barely 6 months before separating. They never even had a wedding. "So," I calmly replied, "we never even took wedding photos." Makoto gasped. "What? George, Willow never wore a wedding dress. Not to point fingers, but do you know what a wedding dress means to a woman?" "Sorry, I said too much. You probably have a different perspective, right?" I tugged at my lips and glanced at Willow next to me. She blinked at me, not responding the way I expected, not backing up Makoto's words. I narrowed my eyes, suspicious, and observed these two carefully. The comments section exploded once again. One person commented, "Every time George speaks like this, it makes everyone so awkward. Doesn't he know the occasion? This is a wedding reality show, and he's sabotaging it. The production team must want to kill him by now." Someone else said. Actually, the person who started it was Makoto, deliberately poking at people's sore spots. And another comment read, "Please, the production team loves him. This is exactly the kind of drama they need. Look at how the number of viewers skyrocketed." Chapter 6. There were 3 different routes to the top of the mountain, and each team drew lots to decide which route they would take. After the draw, everyone went their separate ways, and the once crowded group scattered. Only 3 filming crew members remained with Willow and me. At this point, it was basically like being alone together. I didn't want to talk to Willow and just wanted to get to the top as quickly as possible to enjoy the big meal. So, I buried my head and pushed forward. The only thing that bothered me was Willow constantly interrupting my pace, needing me to help her up or wait for her. We passed the first photo checkpoint. With a look of impatience, I took a picture with Willow. I said, "Hurry up. I'll say, cheese, and you say, yeah." And so, a tourist-style photo was born. But, just as the camera clicked, I reflexively smiled. After the shot, the photographer nodded in satisfaction and said that we both had great ship vibes. I was speechless. No need for that. The last photo checkpoint was a vast cherry blossom forest. The weather in early April was perfect, with the sun shining, and a gentle breeze causing the falling cherry blossoms to resemble snow. Willow stood in this cherry blossom shower, wearing a white dress. Her whole aura became much more delicate and soft. The sight stirred something in me. If a woman has a good appearance, it's easy to deceive people. I walked over to Willow's side, stood still, and pretended to casually wrap my arm around her shoulders, planning to snap another random photo. But Willow wasn't having it. She snorted coldly and said, "You ran from 10 meters away to stand next to me." I was speechless. Is she giving me direction now? Does she even know what our relationship is? I turned off the microphone clip to my side, nodded to her, signaling Willow to do the same. Once I confirmed the production team couldn't hear us, I said, "That's enough. Stop acting. We didn't even know each other in high school." The first time the original character and Willow met was on set. She was a fan of Makoto and went to see him. The original character fell in love with her at first sight. Willow pursed her lips and said nothing. Her gaze toward me held no affection. Instead, it seemed to hide some kind of probing. She spoke softly, "I'll add money. After the divorce, I'll give you another billion." I got so excited I lost all sense of composure. My emotions were all over the place, and I said, "What money? The main thing is I just want to help you out." Chapter 7. It takes a lot of skill for a photographer to capture a beautiful shot while someone is running. Luckily, the staff the production team hired were from Bizarre Wedding, experts at taking the sweetest photos of fake couples. I ran back and forth several times but still couldn't meet the photographer's requirements. A billion. Whether I can relax after the divorce depends on now. The staff directed us. "Come on. Hug her. Get closer. Don't stand so far apart." I reached out and pulled her closer. She lost her balance and had no choice but to grab my waist. Then, I looked down at her, and our eyes met. She looked gentle, her eyes holding a faint smile. The photographer shouted, "Perfect, just like that." But the moment the photographer said, "Okay," Willow blushed and pushed me away. I was speechless. It was her idea to take the photo in the first place. She walked over to the photographer, and they showed her the shot. Curious, I wanted to lean over to see it too, but Willow pouted and urged me to leave. She said, "Aren't you in a hurry to grab lunch?" Fair point. When we reached the top of the mountain, our team was indeed the first to arrive. I decided to speak to Willow. I said, "Just so you know, even if you're not happy with the photos, the payment still stands." Willow shot me a look. I felt guilty. I had earned the money way too easily. I said, "I'll give you a 99% discount at most." After saying that, I rushed toward the food table, eager to dive into the meal. To my surprise, the food was fresh seafood and other ingredients. I was speechless. I'm a kitchen killer. I only know how to make dark cuisine. Willow, a rich young lady, definitely doesn't know how to cook either. David's team had steak, Makoto was eating bread, and I was eating raw food. I grabbed a few leaves of lettuce and some mayonnaise and invited Willow to join me for a salad. Willow shot me a look and said, "I know how to cook." Chapter 8. To my amazement, Willow tied her long hair back, rolled up her sleeves, and with her slender fingers, she cut the vegetables with precision. I couldn't help at all, so I stood by, offering compliments. I praised her. "Wow, you're cutting it so neatly. Wow, it smells amazing. Wow." Before I could finish my wows, Willow gave me an annoyed look, telling me to go away. I was speechless. But still, I put aside my grievances and brought her a chair. When the other teams arrived after climbing up the mountain, they saw this scene. I was slumped in a lounge chair, half asleep, while Willow was preparing the food. David said, "George, your wife is amazing." I was like, "What the hell?" He paused and continued, "You must have a good life at home." I was speechless. I didn't even know she could cook. According to the novel plot, she never touched any water, so I had no idea where she learned this skill. Everyone gathered around to watch. Only one person walked up to my side, blocking the camera with his back. It was Makoto. He wore an expression I had never seen before. Under that twisted face, there was resentment, as if he were the evil male antagonist. He didn't say a word, just glared at me with intense hostility for about 10 seconds. I was confused. Isn't his character supposed to be the one who doesn't want Willow? Why is he so hostile toward me? A minor character? Willow's cooking was broadcasted live. The comments on the live stream went wild. Some wrote, "With a wife like that, what else do you need? I'm hungry. Just ordered takeout." When the seafood fried rice came out, I had to admit Willow's cooking was amazing. Not only was it delicious, but it was also beautifully plated. What's that saying? To win a man's heart, you must first win his stomach. Willow, as my fake wife, wasn't too bad after all. After the meal, everyone played games and chatted. I noticed that after Willow left the room, Makoto also found an excuse to go outside. "Something's going on." I quickly followed them. "Eavesdropping," Makoto said. "Willow, can I ask you for a favor?" "What?" "Isn't he supposed to be Willow's love interest? Why is his tone so formal?" Unfortunately, I only overheard that one sentence, and I couldn't catch the rest of the conversation. But from what I could gather, Makoto seemed to be asking her for something, but Willow shook her head coldly. Makoto looked troubled. I slipped away before they noticed me. Carrying this new discovery, I returned to the villa before Willow went back to her room. I couldn't help but ask, "What's going on between you and Makoto?" Willow replied, "What do you mean?" I said, "I saw that Makoto has feelings for you. You two like each other. So why didn't you get married back then?" Willow's face became cold as ice. I pledged, "Don't worry. I understand the professional ethics of ex-husbands. I won't say anything outside." Willow snorted and said, "How do you know I like him? Isn't that the plot of the novel? How could I be wrong?" I said, "It's all over the internet. Everyone says you're his fan. Otherwise, why would the Liu family be so eager to promote Makoto? It's probably because she wanted her family to support her idol." Willow frowned and said, "George, I've never lied." I was confused. What does that mean? Suddenly, that line popped into my mind. I've liked George since high school. Oh, it seems like the plot has taken a major detour, and as a transmigrator, I'm completely in the dark. What should I do now? Answer: adapt. First, observe. Chapter 9. I returned to the lobby on the first floor, scrolling through my phone absently, jumping between apps mindlessly. Suddenly, I noticed the official program account had posted the photos from this morning's shoot. David and Anna's photos were fairly standard, the usual couple poses. What made them special was the sweetness between the two, like an old married couple. Makoto and Maria's photos were quite beautiful, one of them holding hands while running, the other a Princess Carrie. Finally, it was my turn with Willow's photo. In the picture, I had my arm around her shoulder, smiling. while Willow leaned toward me, turning her face and gazing up at me. The photographer was so skilled. Even a tourist photo like this looked full of emotion. I swiped right, and the last photo caught my eye. In this one, cherry blossoms were scattered in the air above us. I was running toward Willow, and under the strong sunlight, my figure was slightly transparent, while Willow's figure was in shadow. The play of light and shadow, the motion and stillness. This photo was absolutely stunning. The live stream comments were going wild. People were commenting. This photo has such an amazing atmosphere. A lonely little girl waits for the boy who's traveled back through time to meet her. I'm saving this one. I long pressed the image, and by the time I realized what I had done, I'd already saved it. David was behind me, smiling with a knowing look. Having witnessed the whole thing, I said, I just think the photographer is really good. That's all. I plan to save it for later and review it from an artistic perspective. David gave a perfunctory nod. I wanted to grab his arm and emphasize 1,000 times that I really meant what I said. As we were talking, Willow walked down the stairs. She was on the phone, saying, "Can everyone help me out and share this, please?" David waved at her and said, "Your photo is great, but don't think you're guaranteed to win. Our team has the whole couple pulling votes." Willow blinked and said, "I've been pulling votes too." The official program account had tagged Willow, and she had just registered a Weibo account an hour ago. She directly shared the program's post and added a few words, "Vote for me." I was speechless. This isn't asking for votes. This is giving an order. But the number of votes for our photo kept soaring. Among the shares were not only various branches of the Lu group but also many high-profile figures who usually appear in business magazines. David laughed and said, "What's going on? Feels like you're officially announcing something. I almost want to share it for you." I was speechless. I pulled Willow to a corner, covered the mic, and whispered, "Are you crazy? This huge spectacle, how are we going to get divorced now?" She glanced at me coldly and said, "Who said I'm getting divorced?" I was stunned. "What about my 2 billion? I tried to reason with Willow, but meanwhile, the viewers in the live stream were busy shipping us. The comments were full of, "These two are about to sneak away for a secret chat. What? Is there something my VIP ears can't hear? Speak up." The number of votes kept climbing, and by the time the voting deadline came, our team had actually claimed first place. We hadn't received the promised mysterious reward yet, but we were already hit with the next surprise they sent. "What? We're going camping tomorrow." Chapter 10. I paced back and forth outside Willow's door, thinking about tomorrow's activity schedule. I steeled myself and knocked on the door. The door opened, and Willow had just finished showering. She answered the door wearing nothing but a bathrobe, and it was so loose that I couldn't help but glance down at her slightly open collar. "Wait, don't look." With great difficulty, I forced my gaze away and focused on the ground. I said, "You know about the camping trip tomorrow, right? The program team said we'll be staying in a tent overnight." Willow nodded. And then, nothing else. I asked, "Is that it? Aren't you worried? We're going to be sleeping in the same tent." Willow rolled her eyes and said, "Are you worried about what I might do?" "What is she saying?" I was speechless and replied, "I'm worried about what I might do." Willow sighed. "Oh, I'm not worried." With that, she slammed the door shut. What? How did she suddenly change like this? Wasn't she always so cautious, afraid that I might look at her? Forget it. She's not worried. So why should I be? The camping gear provided by the program was very professional, but we had to set up the tents and tables ourselves. Since our team's photo got first place yesterday, we had the privilege of choosing first. I immediately picked the biggest tent. It's for our safety, of course, but I don't know how to set up a tent. David's group already had their tent up, while mine was still lying flat on the ground. Willow asked, "Having trouble? Want me to call David for help?" I snapped, "I can do it. It's fine." To save face, I told her to go play at the beach and not disturb me while I tried to gather my thoughts. I was squatting alone, thinking things over when Makoto came over. He had dark circles under his eyes, clearly looking like he hadn't slept well the previous night. He asked, "You saw it yesterday, right?" I was confused. He continued, "Don't pretend you didn't see. Are you mocking me in your head?" Makoto gritted his teeth. "I just wanted to get Maria into the company, but I asked Willow to help, and she refused. She used to never be like this. Since you showed up, everything's changed." I was speechless. "What does this have to do with me?" Makoto sneered. "You don't really think Willow likes you, do you? We're all just her substitutes." He then pulled out his phone and showed me a secretly taken sketch. "This is Willow's dead love." The person in the photo looked so familiar. Wait a minute. Isn't that me? I actually look a lot like George, except I'm not quite 185 centimeters tall. The man in the photo was basically my exact likeness. Seeing my stunned expression, Makoto smiled smugly and said, "You're just a fake." I stood up, suddenly feeling out of breath. The world spun around me. and I collapsed, losing consciousness. Chapter 11. When I woke up, I felt like I might have knocked something loose in my head, as there were a bunch of random images in my memory. I was wearing a school uniform, riding a bike with Willow, weaving through the streets. The Willow in my memory was still so young, not the beautiful, worried Willow in front of me now. She asked, "Are you okay?" Her face slowly began to match the image in my mind. I hesitantly called out a strange name. "Emily." Willow trembled, then asked, "Do you remember?" I shook my head. I could only recall the name. Everything else was fuzzy, but Willow seemed thrilled. She threw herself into my arms, burying her head in my chest. I said, "You're shaking." She trembled and said, "Don't say anything." I paused for a moment and added, "Don't get my clothes wet from your tears." She replied, "It's not that. You're just imagining things. It's the beach air. It's too damp." The others gathered around. David asked, "George, are you okay? They said you suddenly passed out." Makoto also showed concern. "Yeah, we were talking, and you just collapsed." I was really worried. Willow glared at him, and he stopped speaking. I quickly tried to cover, saying, "It's probably just anemia. Don't worry about me." Anna teased. Willow was so scared, we didn't even realize what was happening, and she rushed right over. I instinctively tightened my grip on Willow's hand. David added, "Well, you rest for now. I've already set up the tent for you." I nodded in agreement, and then it hit me. Wait, does this mean we're sleeping together tonight? I dragged my feet, delayed until everyone else had gone to sleep, and then reluctantly headed back to the tent. Willow rolled her eyes. "You finally decided to come back. I thought you were going to sleep with David tonight." I wanted to, but there were still too many questions left unanswered. I sat down at the foot of the bed. I asked, "Did we know each other before?" She replied, I couldn't figure it out. I asked, "How could we have known each other? I just arrived here. How could I know Willow from high school?" Then she told me a story. Chapter 12. In the first year of high school, there was news from the sanatorium that my grandfather's health wasn't doing well. Since my parents couldn't find the time, Willow volunteered and took half a semester off from school. After all, the private tutor my parents hired had already taught her everything from school. On the way to the sanatorium, there was a road lined with cherry blossom trees. It was the perfect season, and the blossoms were in full bloom. Whenever she passed by, she had to be careful of the petals drifting in the air. She didn't like that road, until one time, when she was passing through, a white canvas shoe suddenly fell from the tree and landed right in front of her. Willow looked up. A figure emerged from behind the branches, wearing an oversized blue school uniform. His hair was messy, and his big eyes nervously smiled in a crescent shape. He said, "Can you throw my shoe back up here?" Willow did as he asked. She watched as the boy put on his shoe and skillfully climbed down. His school jacket was bulging, and when he zipped it open, there was a basketball hidden inside. The boy tossed the ball over the community wall, and cheers from a group of kids echoed from inside. He said, "Little brats, if you kick it out again, I'm not picking it up." Then he casually ruffled his hair and said, "I'm George. Thanks for that." And that was how Willow met her first friend in South City. This boy, George, was always in a good mood, but he often said things that were hard to understand. For example, being in the wrong time is bad enough, but being stuck in high school, this is the end of me. Why on earth am I studying humanities? Isn't that just asking for trouble? Willow thought he was just anxious because of his poor grades, so she kindly suggested they study together. As they studied, she became George's personal homework assistant. She wanted to study with her friend, but all George wanted to do was read manga. George casually said, "Just getting by is enough. I'm only going to stay at this point for half a year, so studying won't help. Don't look at me like I'm a slacker. I'm an excellent science student." "Okay." Willow could only sigh. She asked, "Where are you going?" George scratched his head and said, "I don't know. The system malfunctioned, so I'm running away. According to the plot, I shouldn't even be here before the audition." Willow understood and her eyes sparkled. "You're going to be a star. To be a star, you need an education. Though, when the time comes, you can come find me, and I'll have my dad enroll you in an acting class." George asked, "You know about that?" Willow nodded. Her father ran an entertainment company, so she figured she should pay attention to this kind of thing in case her friends needed help. George invited her to his house for a meal. He said, "I'm making you chicken." A big feast. Willow believed him and went. When she arrived, she looked at the chicken and said, "You're stewing a whole chicken?" George said, "Yeah, don't mind how it looks. It'll taste just as good once it's cooked." Willow nodded, feeling like she should learn to cook. Later, one day, Willow's grandfather's health took a turn for the worse. She waited outside the hospital at the sanatorium, her hands tightly clutching her skirt, her fingers pale. George suddenly appeared like a gust of wind. "I skipped class to be here with you," he said. Willow's parents were busy with work, and she had grown up with the housekeeper and chauffeur. She always thought being alone wasn't so bad, but in that moment, she realized how comforting it was to have someone there. The doctor came with the surgical consent form. She signed it, and George stood beside her, stunned. "Your name's Willow. You told me your name was Emily." Willow answered. "My grandfather gave me the name. My parents didn't like it, so they changed it." The others nearby were still in shock, unable to process it. George muttered to himself. "Great. Now I'm friends with the protagonist, and I've messed up the plot. I can't be the villain anymore." George had already died in his original world. If he couldn't possess a body, his life would truly be over. George said, "Don't worry, your grandfather will be fine." He decided to go with the flow and comfort his friend. He added, "I'm telling you, I'm from the future. I know what happens next." Although George often said things that Willow didn't understand, he never lied. Willow nodded, feeling a little more at ease. Sure enough, a few hours later, the doctor came out and said the surgery was successful and her grandfather would be transferred to a 24-hour monitoring ward. At that moment, George received a long-awaited system notification. "The timeline has been fixed. You will leave the plot tomorrow." George hesitated for a moment but decided to tell Willow. After all, his body would soon be controlled by the system, and his actions would follow the novel's script, where he played the foolish villain. The plot couldn't be messed with. If it was, he might never be able to enter this world again. His fate was now in Willow's hands. George said, "I'm going to tell you something that sounds completely unbelievable, but you have to believe me, it's all true. You're going to fall in love with someone named Makoto." Willow shook her head, denying it immediately. "I will never like him." George, unconcerned, said, "You haven't even met him yet. The novel says it's love at first sight for you too. Come on, stop interrupting me. Just listen, then I'll keep chasing you until we get married. What are you laughing at? Pay attention." Willow furrowed her brow. Her delicate features were still pure and youthful, but her eyes were already full of insight. She nodded and said, "I get it. I'll let everything follow the plot. Just make sure you come back soon." George nodded. "No problem. If all goes well, we'll meet again in 5 years. Willow asked one last question. "What did you originally look like?" George said, "Pretty much the same as now, just not as tall." That day, after George went home, Willow sat on a bench downstairs in his neighborhood all night. The streetlight cast her shadow. The next day, she saw a familiar boy walking down from the building and walking right past her. He truly didn't recognize her anymore. Heartbroken, she stood up and returned to the sanatorium, passing by that road lined with cherry blossom trees again. The petals were long gone, and the branches were bare. Later, just as George had predicted, she met Makoto. So, she followed the plot step by step, helping him and asking her father to help him get into the drama. The only difference from the story was that Makoto confessed to her in front of everyone. She coldly rejected him. Makoto, shocked, looked at her and asked, "How is this possible? How could you not like me?" Willow ordered her bodyguard to escort him away, saying, "Don't ever let him near me again, or you'll lose your job." George had become famous, but the boy she once knew still hadn't shown up. He had said they'd meet in 5 years, but now it had been 8. "George, you liar." Chapter 13. On the final episode of the show, the production team changed the plan. A new set of guest stars arrived, and a team was chosen to accompany the two of us to South City. It was the place Willow had mentioned when we first met. The theme the production team had assigned to us was the excitement of youth, and they had even prepared a set of uniforms from No. 1 high school. When I saw Willow in the school uniform, I was stunned. She looked beautiful, almost exactly like the girl from my dreams. She blushed and asked, "Do I look too childish in this?" I smiled foolishly. "No, you look just like the one in my dream." She frowned and said, "You were having a proper dream, right? Don't tell me it was something inappropriate." I was speechless. The live stream comments were buzzing with excitement. Someone commented, "What dream? Please explain in detail." Another person wrote, "Don't miss any details. I'm free. I could listen to this all day." Willow sat behind me on my bicycle, asking me to take her to the places we used to go, to help me regain my memories. I said, "Just don't add anything extra. Don't start making up bad things I didn't do just to tarnish my image." Willow snorted twice. We went to the cherry blossom tree where we first met, the corridor where we did homework together, and the cemetery where my grandfather was buried. In front of the old man's grave, Willow tightly nestled into my embrace. We stood in silence for a long time. Before we left, I told her I wanted to say a few words to my grandfather. I said, "Go a little farther. Don't eavesdrop." I made sure Willow walked at least 10 meters away. Turning around, I bowed to the photo of the kindly old man. I said, "Sorry for making your granddaughter wait for me all this time. Don't worry, I'll always be by Willow's side from now on." Bullying her. Chapter 14. After this couple's variety show aired, Willow and I became the most popular couple on the program. We were trending on the hot search every day. Countless new shows lined up to offer me scripts, but I turned them all down. I owed Willow too much of my time, and these trivial jobs shouldn't be disturbing our life together. Willow asked if we could have a wedding. I joked, "We're already an old married couple. What's the point? We can just muddle through. What's the worst that could happen? A divorce." Willow wasn't happy. She pushed me away, adjusted her nightgown's collar, and criticized me for taking advantage and then trying to run away. She said, "You're so irresponsible." After that, she went to take a shower, and I lay in bed, secretly laughing. I had already prepared for the proposal and the wedding. I got up, had a sip of water, and, on a whim, opened the drawer of the bedside table. Inside was a leather-bound journal. I had a feeling it contained things about me. It read, March 2015. I can cook now. I'm going to be a qualified lazy pig caretaker. When we meet again, I'll surprise you. August 2016. George got into college. The person handling his data is much better than you. If you were still around, you'd probably be repeating the year. He said he was a science whiz, but I don't believe it. October 2017. There seems to be a girl getting close to George. You never told me if he was dating. It should be an unimportant plotline, right? But since his character is supposed to like me, he surely wouldn't be interested in other women. So I broke them up. No problem. May 2019. I met Makoto today. Just like you said, I accidentally tripped and almost fell into his arms. Luckily, I managed to stand up, but I don't like him at all. I think your plot is completely wrong. January 2020. Went back to the sanatorium to prepare for Grandpa's funeral. The annoying kids from back then are all grown up. Why haven't you come back? I almost forgot about everything that happened before. I'm almost running out of time. This part has been crossed out. I can still hold on for a while, but you better hurry. September 2020. I had Dad sign Makoto to the company. Went to the set today to visit. You said in the novel that this was the first time I met George. I happily prepared a bento with love. Spent over an hour on it. But then I realized the person I was visiting wasn't you. Forget it. I ate it myself, and just made George some instant noodles. November 2022. I married George. Every step, I followed the plot you told me about, but you never kept your promise to show up. Will you ever show up? September 2024. Went to record a variety show. If you haven't shown up by this time, does that mean you won't come at all? If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have joined such a boring show. So you'd better show up immediately. Is it you? I can't bring myself to have expectations anymore. Is it really you? The diary ended there. I realized my face was covered with tears. I quickly wiped them away and shoved the journal back into the drawer. Willow, I called. I ran to the bathroom door and knocked. I pulled out the ring and said, "Open the door. I have something for you." Before I could finish, the bathroom door opened just a crack. Willow's face peeked out through the gap. She frowned and said, "I'm taking a shower. What do you want?" "Oh, so that's what's going on." I nodded thoughtfully and said, "Can't hear clearly." "Huh, come on, let me come in and talk to you."